Welcome to Trading Nation. I'm Sarah Eisen. We are joined today by Robert Shiller, Yale economics professor and Nobel Prize winner in economics. Professor Shiller, nice to see you.
My pleasure.
So tell us, we look to you for valuation and an indication of whether you think this market is overvalued or can climb further. What say you?
Not only do I think it's overvalued, but my surveys indicate that generally people think it's overvalued. Not as much as it was back in 2000. So it's not at record valuation relative to earnings, using my CAPE measure. But it is high. And so also the United States is the most expensive market in the world of the major countries.
We have seen a little bit of a pullback here in recent months. Certainly the volatility has picked up. Just wondering whether that takes some of the valuation, puts it a little bit more into, I don't know, more fair value ahead of what is expected to be a very solid earnings season.
Yes, well, it's a solid, maybe it's a solid earnings season, but as of the fourth quarter, real S&P 500 earnings were still below their 2015, if you correct for inflation. So it's not like we're in the spectacular earnings market. Yeah, it might, and earnings tend to be volatile from year to year. So I wouldn't make too much of that. Obviously, a solid earnings season is good news for the market, but it's not something that we should bank on. There's still risk in the markets.
How do you see Trump policy playing into the markets? Feels like the original Trump trade was very bullish for stocks, got the tax cuts, got the deregulation early, but now there is uncertainty, specifically around the tweets again, with geopolitics and trade policy. How does it all shake out?
Yeah, the big boost in confidence came right after the election. Since then, there's a lot of criticism of the Trump administration. Some people say unstable, and instability is unsettling to markets. But it held on for a long time. But then we finally saw volatility increase. You know, it had been a major puzzle why stock price volatility was so low. But now it's back to where you might have thought, might go a little bit higher under the Trump administration.
So what do you think ultimately hurts this market? Because even with the increased volatility around some of President Trump's tweets and unpredictable policies, market's still up. I mean, April is still positive when you look broadly at stocks. So what takes us lower?
What will take us lower? So that's always the question that people have. What triggers corrections? But the problem is, historically, it's not so clear what triggers corrections. Typically, there isn't any really big news except news of the correction.
What about the Fed raising rates?
Yeah. What about what?
The Federal Reserve raising rates.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound to me like such news anymore. They started that in 2015, and they've been raising them on a very deliberate schedule. And moreover, unwinding quantitative easing is also something they were very careful about, to announce plans to do it in a modest and measured way. So it doesn't seem to me that it's big news. Also, yeah, I think there's evidence that it's not what people are focusing on. The National Federation of Independent Businesses did a survey of the small business owners and asked them the reason for their optimism. And optimistic people there virtually never mentioned low interest rates. So it's just not it's not the major thing. We tend to focus too much. When we've got Jerome Powell as head of the Fed, we have a responsible, careful person, and it's not going to be a source of volatility.
Finally, I wanted to ask you about Bitcoin, of course, with all the talk of valuations and bubbles. How do you even begin to analyze this one?
Well, I'm interested in Bitcoin as a sort of bubble. That doesn't mean it will disappear, that it will burst forever. It may be with us for a while. But to me, it's interesting as another example of faddish human behavior. It's glamorous. I don't mean to dismiss it. Some smart people went into these and other cryptocurrencies And but it's a story that I think goes way beyond the merit of the idea. I don't know that for sure, but it strikes me that the reason people are so excited about it is more psychological than something that could be explained by the computer science department.
So it's sort of a sentiment indicator for you.
I think that part of it is political. You know, people get, economists tend to neglect the political side of it. It's not our department. But, you know, a lot of people are kind of angry about politics. Have you noticed? And so there's a big element of people who don't trust the government anymore. And they like the idea that this didn't come from the government. It came from some real smart computer scientist. They like that. It's a great story for today's markets.
Yeah, and no central banks behind it either. Professor Robert Shiller, thank you very much. Always good to see you from Yale University.
Great. Same here.
All right, and thank you for watching Trading Nation. I'm Sarah Eisen. We'll see you next time.